Welcome to Conversations with TEDxYangon. Conversations with TEDxYangon ကကြိုဆိုပါတယ် My name is Thiri Tamon. I'm Thiri Tamon. ကျွန်မနာမည် Thiri Tamon ပါရှင် And I'm a volunteer within the TEDxYangon team. And we're a team that is there to promote ideas and conversations. And very recently, we launched this series that we're simply calling Conversations with TEDxYangon, where we invite interesting and inspiring individuals from around the world to come and spend some time with us and talk to us about their life, their philosophies, and also the areas that they are active in. Last month, we had historian, writer Dr. Tam Ye-u, and we discussed a lot about Myanmar and its history, and more importantly, its future. Today, I am incredibly excited that we will have another Myanmar hero. Most people know him as the Burmese Python, MMA fighter, Aung La N Sang. So, without further ado, I would like to invite Aung La. Hello, Aung La, how are you?
Thank you so much for the amazing introduction. I'm so excited as well. I'm very well. Alo Minglaba, to my Gachin families, Yong Kamaja Uga Musum Yui, Ya Lukumla Nagashalum Joge, Chigubai, Kagubuai.
Aung La, you're joining us from Florida, and it is nighttime there. So thank you for making time for us. I know for someone like you who trains, sleep is important. So thank you for staying up for us. You are in Florida, so maybe you want to say something to your Spanish fans.
My Spanish friend, hola mi amigos, mucho gusto y muchas gracias para entiendo en mi video. Muchas gracias.
Fantastic.
My Spanish
So
is quite good. I'm sorry. I apologize.
it's quite good. I'm impressed. I studied Spanish, but we won't speak in Spanish because I think I've forgotten most of mine. And I know zero Jingpo, which is your first language, your mother tongue. So we will continue with English if that's okay. So Ala, when we put this out, all your fans were so excited. We had over I think almost 2,500 people sign up to follow this, and I know we will get a lot more views afterwards. So everybody who wrote in said, "Oh, Nikangla, are you fine?" So you're very fashionable. Kimmy Lavi, you caught COVID. Tell us a little bit about that. How was that like?
Yeah, I was actually very relieved, to be honest, when I got COVID, because if you think about it, it's already August. We lost like over half a year already, and because of this, because of coronavirus, and me having it, I felt relief. When I had it, during the time I had it, the first 2 days I wasn't well. I had like flu-like symptoms. I had congestion. I had a slight fever of 99.7, which is nothing. And I had fatigue. When I stood up and walked around the house, I got tired. You know, those were the little things that happened for the first 2 days that I had it. But afterwards, it was mild. I had congestion. So the thing is, I quarantined myself. To make sure I didn't spread it. I don't want older people with less immune system to get it. That's why I quarantined myself and my family for 14 days, which is the right thing to do.
And your family caught it as well, right?
Yep. So after I tested on, I think it was at the end of June, and the next week my family tested as well, and everybody except Ong D had it. Even my 5-month-old daughter. It was very like it was kind of weird for me that even though a 5-month-old girl has it, they didn't call us. The doctor didn't call us. They didn't, they called us much later, like 2 weeks later. So it's kind of weird for me to just like to grasp this idea where in the media and the news they make it seem so scary, so scary. Yet when a 5-month-old baby has it, they don't even like have the decency to call us or something. So it was like kind of weird for me.
Yeah, it's such a different experience for you, right? In Florida, Florida is one of the hotspots for COVID. Us sitting over here, we're in Yangon. We barely had any cases. Part of it is maybe what you said earlier. We're talking. If you don't test, you don't have it. But certainly, here life has resumed to almost normal. How does it feel like to be there, where every day in the news is COVID, 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 and it's become incredibly political as well.
Yeah, it is. Like even a simple thing as wearing a mask is like a political statement here, and it shouldn't be. It should be like we should have the right to wear it or not wear it, but that's not the case. Like the media puts out this thing that on the side of like even on the side of the screen and like certain media outlets, you'll see the death rates. You'll see they'll try to scare you, and and I don't feel like we should be living in fear. I don't feel like we should be living in fear. This is a disease that we don't know much about, but still, it's something that it shouldn't stop us from living our lives.
But it is impacting people. Job losses has been incredible, and for you as a fighter, for you and your colleagues, fighting and the shows, getting in the cage is the
Yeah.
livelihood. You train weeks and months in advance for a fight. Tell us about how COVID has impacted your career this year.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be almost a year in October since I've competed. And as professional athletes, we get paid when we compete, and because we're not competing, we can't get paid. But I'm not like, but I only have a certain amount of years in my career left. So I want to make the most out of it, and I want to become the best that I can be. So it has impacted me and a lot of my friends. I'm not the one. I'm not complaining, but like it's affected me and a lot of my teammates as well. A lot of my teammates aren't able to fight, or some of them even had a competition lined up, and then they got tested for COVID, so they didn't get to compete. For them it's really hard too. Because um, uh, they're not making a lot of money. This is all they're getting. And every time they don't compete, like they don't get paid. We don't get paid to train. Training doesn't pay the bills. It's when we go out and compete. So it is affecting a lot of the athletes as well. But we have to just take this time and think of it as a positive. For me, I take it as a positive, and I use this time to get myself better, to become a better athlete, to become technically more sound in my striking and in my ground game and in my wrestling, and all those aspects of mixed martial arts.
So tell us about this training that you have to do. You mentioned to me that before you got COVID, you were 100% in terms of your physical fitness and your training. You had been training for some time then for a fight. How many weeks in advance do you train for a fight?
So usually training camp is anywhere from 8 weeks to like for me like 10 to 12 weeks, you know, and it's very like intense. It's very regimented. It's 6 days. You train day and night, like and you only get one day of rest. Um, it's very grueling, and it takes about for me, it takes about a good 8 weeks to be in peak, shape. And as you know, I was scheduled to compete on April 11th against my former, opponent, who was a former champion of one championship. He's the man that I took the belt from, and he's a strong Russian competitor. So for this competition, I was putting everything in, everything into the training camp, and I was training very hard. Um, and I felt like I was in shape. I was in 100% shape, very good shape. But after I got COVID, like even now, I don't feel 100%. You know, I can definitely feel it in my cardio. My cardio has gone down a lot. So.
Yeah. So and let's keep on training because I'm super curious. It's not just the physical training that we just saw in the video. You have to be really conscious about what you eat. I'm told by one of your friends that at one point for one of your games, you had to lose something like 25 pounds, or was it 25 pounds? Something quite significant. And you did it through obviously exercise through your training, but also eating right and diet.
Yeah.
And for all of us, I think, most of us once we become a certain age struggle with it. So athlete or not, very curious to hear what kind of diet you have to stick to and the discipline that comes with that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, metabolism slows down as you get older. As you get over, 30s, 40s, 50s, your metabolism slows down. So you can't eat like a 20-year-old teenager. When we were teenagers, we could eat everything, and not gain any weight. But now we have to be careful. So as far as the diet goes, I keep it pretty simple. I keep everything I eat and I drink is for the next training session. So I would have, like, for breakfast, it would be simple. It would be like a toast, um, and an omelet, and eggs with some vegetables, and then I would go train with that, and then when I come home, it would be simple things like rice and chicken, brown rice and chicken, and it would be small meals. Um, it would be like a cup of rice. It wouldn't be like a whole plate of rice. That's my downfall too. As a Burmese man, we eat a lot of rice, and curry. We can't do curry now when we compete, because there's too much oil in it. So for lunch, that's what I'll have, and then before training, I'll do something that's easy again, some toast and some like protein shake, and then I'll go train again. And then for dinner, it'll be simple, like some carbs, simple carbs like sweet potato, vegetables, and then like a little bit of meat. And then I'll have a protein shake before bed. So those are like simple meals. That's throughout the training camp. Each day, that's all I'll have. So
And
no
how about
pizza,
your
no.
no pizza? No, that's why I will become a fighter, among other many obvious things.
So that's what I
How
was
about
saying.
you?
When I had COVID, right? When I had COVID, uh, our family, I was like, I didn't want to eat anything that my wife had cooked, or Teal had cooked. So I was like, let's order pizza. When the pizza came, I couldn't smell it and I couldn't taste it. It just tasted like salt. Yeah. So when I had COVID, you lose the sense of smell and taste as well. Um, and then I couldn't even finish a slice of pizza. It was so crazy. So
So
that's one of the
that,
symptoms of COVID. Yeah,
did you lose weight during COVID as well?
yeah. I lost about I'd say about 5, 6 pounds. Yeah, five
Oh
six
wow.
pounds. Yeah.
So tell us about your
But
training
I'm
days.
back. Though. I'm back. Right now, I'm back,
Yep.
though. I'm back. I'm back to my normal weight now.
Okay. Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and you said that you're back, almost back to full strength as well, right?
Yeah. Strength and stamina, and like this is a weird, like, a virus. I don't think that even the nobody knows, like even the scientists don't know the extent of how much damage does the coronavirus does. They don't know the full extent. They don't know the long term effect. Um, even the symptoms vary. So it's like even the scientists, even the experts argue, about it. So it's kind of like it's a difficult situation for sure.
Uh, yeah, I can imagine. It's sort of scary, right? We always think with all of us humans being so overpopulated, disproportionately populated on the planet, something's going to take us out, and it was always going to be something like a virus that takes us out. And I can't help but have a little bit of the this feeling that, is this it, or is this the beginning of something? One does not want to think in those negative terms, but it definitely pays to be cautious and follow social distancing and
For sure, for sure.
hand washing, etc.
Just follow the guidelines, and we don't know it, we don't know much about it, but follow the guidelines. They're helpful. Making sure you wear masks, making sure you wash your hands and stuff. That's very important.
Yeah.
Those simple things, the things that we can follow. And then don't sweat. Don't worry about if this virus is gonna wipe us out. Who cares? I mean, I do care, but still, but don't live in fear. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't live in fear. We shouldn't let this, this fear stop us from progressing and becoming better human beings. The main thing is at the end of the day, to become a better person. In general, that's what we need to strive for.
Absolutely, and we need to have a bit of balance, right? I always have this philosophy that when it's my time, it'll be my time, and it's not. We take the precautions, obviously. Don't be a daredevil. Don't be stupid. But also, as you say, don't live in fear.
Yeah, for sure. That's my philosophy.
I did want to ask about your training day because I'm super curious about it. When you go into your gym, what do you do? Can you break down the day for us?
Yeah, so in the mornings, depending on the day, we do a certain part of mixed martial arts. On Monday it will be striking with wrestling. So on Monday, the day we start with a good warm up. We warm our bodies up, and then we do a partner. We train with our partner. We do punch combinations, and then we do takedowns, and we do the wrestling. Um, and then at night we just focus on kickboxing, and then hitting the heavy bag. So making sure that our punches, our kicks, everything is on point. And then on Tuesdays, we do strength and conditioning, making sure our body is strong. And then on Tuesday nights, we do sparring. Tuesdays and Thursdays are the same. In the mornings, we do strength and conditioning, and then at night we do our hard sparring. And in sparring, it's like full out. We wear headgear, mouthpiece, and we have our gloves and shin guard, and we're simulating a real fight. And then on Wednesday we work on wrestling, making sure that everything is on point. Um, and then on Friday we do a lot of our jujitsu grappling, and then on Saturday we do our circuit, which simulates like a fight as well. And then on the seventh day we rest.
There's a lot of technique involved in martial arts, right? I did a little bit of aikido and karate when I was younger, very much dabbling, but even that gave me respect and appreciation of the fact that so much of it is technique, so much of it is repetition, that you have to just understand just a little bit of different movement on your body in a punch or in a grapple will make a massive difference. How did you get
For sure.
into martial arts in the first place?
Yeah. So I've always had passion for martial arts. As a kid, we watched a lot of kung fu movies. We watched a lot of like Jet Li movies. So we always had every kid in Myanmar is like passionate about fighting. Every boy, maybe some girls as well, are passionate about fighting, punching, kicking. It's in our blood. You can't hide that. And then for me, it was. I did karate when I was a kid. I loved it, but that my instructor left, and then like I couldn't continue. I was always interested in boxing as well, but there's no structure in Myanmar for me to be able to train and get better. And that's one thing in the future I want to do. I want to provide kids with a different outlet besides schoolwork. That's something that I was passionate about. And then when I got to the States, I was able to learn mixed martial arts, and that's when I fell in love. After my first competition, I was like in love. My first competition, I lost, and even though I lost, like I was passionate. I was in love with mixed martial arts.
When did you get started in mixed martial arts? What year was it?
2005 was when I did my first match, but in 2004, late 2003, when I started training. Yeah, late
Right, and since
2003.
since then,
Go ahead.
were you kind of professional?
Yeah.
Did you start pursuing this as a career?
So no, it was more like a hobby. Uh, Mixed martial arts at that time was still at a very young age. Mixed martial arts began in the 1990s or early 20s. Um, in the early 20s, it was still very young. It was still at a very infant stage. And when I started in 2005, when I fought my first fight, it was considered a professional. But I wasn't really a professional. I wasn't a professional fighter at that time. I did it as a hobby while I was going to college. I got my degree, and I still kind of messed around with it. I got a job as a beekeeper, and I was still like competing on the side as a hobby. And then after that, when I quit my beekeeping job, that was when I started focusing and becoming a professional. Hi,
Hello. We're
are we
just going to
on?
check with our producer. Are we back on? All right, excellent. I think we got stopped at beekeeping, but let's keep on the MMA career first. But I will come back to beekeeping because I am also very interested about that. You were
No,
saying
no,
that
so
MMA was still very much in an infancy. You started during college, and then and then started becoming a bit more serious after you quit your beekeeping job.
yeah, and then uh, uh, and then I kept competing and training and fighting um, until 2016 when I made my debut in Myanmar. You know, so um, eventually I pretty much quit all the job and then just focus on mixed martial arts. That's when I was able to succeed and become get some sort of success. Prior to that, I did it for fun because I was good at it. I was getting better at it, but I didn't put my heart and my soul and everything into it.
So it's a
I was
journey.
more yes, yes. I was more focused on making sure I had some sort of security than following my passion. Because during that time when I fought, I couldn't make a living fighting. Just strictly out of fighting, and because of that, I didn't want to put everything into it. But if I had put everything into it, I know I would have been a much better mixed martial artist.
What was the change? What made you at 2016 to say, okay, I'm just going to go for it?
Um, my age, um, and knowing that if I don't do it now, it's like never. It's now or never. Do or die kind of situation. Um, Age is a factor, and then at that time I also had a kid. Um, I had my son. I was married, and I had nothing else that was like was tying me down. I had to do it now, or it was going to be I was going to let it slip out of my hands, and I didn't want that to happen. So I pretty much said, you know what, I'm going to do everything it takes for each and every match, each and every fight. I'm gonna put everything into it, and I started training really hard.
And how many big fights did you do in your career? Oh, yeah.
Uh,
I'm back. Sorry.
you mean professional fights?
Professional
I
fights,
have
yeah.
uh, I've been fighting so long. About like 38, 39 fights. So almost 40. Yeah, it's a lot for mixed martial artists. We compete about 3 or 4 times in a year at most. So for mixed martial arts, that's a lot. Yeah.
Right. And when was your big win? The belt.
My my biggest the belt was in 2017. You know, when I fought in 2017, that was my biggest accomplishment. It was my first championship fight, championship belt I've ever had. I've never won any championship belt until 2017. So,
And that was a long, long journey to get there.
yep, it was a 12-year journey. For when I started competing in 2005 to 2017. In Myanmar, a lot of people think it's like overnight sensation. They thought, I came to Myanmar and I won the belt from 2016, people started knowing me, and then 2017 was when I won the belt. You know, it's not overnight. Nothing, no big success, no success is overnight. You know, we have to remember that. Um, every success takes years. You know, for me, it took me over a decade. You know, it took me over 12 years to accomplish this one thing. You know, and it isn't much right now, but it's gonna like for all the young all the young people, just understand that, you know, nothing happens, nothing good happens overnight. You know, it takes a lot of time.
No, indeed. And I think every athlete probably can attest to it. However good you are, however well known on the global stage, there's just hours and years of just literal blood, sweat, and tears, especially in the case of
Yeah,
MMA fighters.
yeah, for sure. You know, it's a long road, and it's also it has a lot of highs and it has a lot of lows. The highs when you win is like amazing, it's amazing, and then when you lose, it's so low. You know, you feel so worthless. In mixed martial arts, in fighting, they say you're only as good as your last fight. You know, so that just tells you, you know, you're only as good as your last fight. So you want to make sure you keep getting better and better every time. Um, for me, making sure that, you know, the highs of the highs don't affect me, and the lows of the lows don't affect me. So I try to keep everything around in my life pretty stable. You know, I don't try to, I don't do anything that's uh, like I don't celebrate crazy when I win. I don't like so that when I lose, it's not like super depressing.
Yeah. And you're also this huge celebrity, especially in Myanmar. You're recognized everywhere. People mob you. But at home, you keep a fairly simple life of a family man. Tell us about it. At home, you're doing chores, looking after the baby. Here, you are in modern parlance, a celly.
Oh no, I don't feel like a Sally at all. Um, my wife makes me, you know, clean the dishes. My wife makes me do the chores too, so she keeps me pretty level-headed. And then having my daughter, my son, you know, they keep me very, very level-headed, and they keep me really normal, you know. Big shout out to our sponsors, that Daichi for those photos and the clips. Um,
Yes,
so
thank you
Daichi.
very much. I also want to give a shout out to Oba, I think, which who
Yeah.
lent us your training videos from earlier, and Daiichi. Thank you for from TEDxYangon as well. We're a volunteer-run organization that have actually no budget at all, so we are very appreciative of all the help that the community gives to us.
Yeah. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here.
That's
So
right.
thank you. Um, so going back to what keeps me stable is um, like my family does for sure. You know, I love my family. They mean everything to me. You know, everything that I work for is for them. And I grew up with a really really. I grew up with five kids. You know, there's five of us. In our family, I can't feel like I'm so special. You know, I'm the fourth kid. I'm the in Burmese we call Nonya. You know, like I can't feel that special about myself. You know, uh, they keep me humble as well. And growing up in a loving family with a, you know, a great dad who works hard and a great mom, that helps a lot as well. You know.
Yeah, so I know some of your siblings because we went to the same school, and I was around the same age as some of your older siblings. So, and I see how tight you were as a family. There are five of you. You have two now. How many do you want for yourself?
I was shooting for five, but we might be slowing down. You know how they say like your eyes are bigger than your mouth. I feel like I don't know if I'm gonna reach five. Maybe with adoption, you know. But I always enjoy having a lot of kids around. When I was a kid, it wasn't just my family; it was also, you know, extended family. Your uncles, your cousins, they came and lived with you. You know, so that's nice. Um, I love that. You know, I love that bond that we have. You know, the family has. So
And you have a big extended family as well, right? When you're here in Myanmar with your fights and training, you're always surrounded by uh, cousins. I'm sure by now lots of nieces and nephews. How does that feel actually in a way to be far away from all of that? All your family are now in different places. How do you keep in touch?
well, we have Facebook. You know, Facebook helps us keep in touch. We have video calls, and we have Zoom, so that those are things that we have that helps us keep in touch. Um, Taking that effort to keep in touch is our responsibility. But we have all those resources. No time in the world, no time in history where we able to do that. Was humanity able to talk to each other on the phone, see each other, uh, and convey message, and like relay ideas and stuff like that. We're very fortunate. We're very blessed to be living in this time in this era. So it's on us to make sure that we stay in touch with our family, makes this world like a smaller place. And shout out to my cousins too. They're always there helping me out when I'm in Myanmar. And like Senglat, Ajat, you guys are awesome. And during fight week, they make it so easy for me, to stay focused on the task at hand.
You have really good friends here as well, right? I always see pictures of you with friends, actually, even from back in school, not even high school, grade school, that are still with you. So, hey, people love you.
Yeah, you might know Ponjo, right? Ponjo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my boy. He's always there to help me out. Just like all the all my Myanmar fans and friends. They're the reason why I'm able to wake up on days that I feel so broken and sore, and still go to training and have that energy. You know, they're the ones that help me be ready for each and every fight. So big shout out to my fans, in Myanmar. You guys are what keeps me going. All my Gachin fans, always praying for me and being there for me. You guys are the reason why I'm so like able to have so much energy and strength.
Sorry, I'm looking away because my computer keeps kicking me out. So sorry about that. A bit of tech problems. The next thing to go is probably the power. It's not a TEDx event without a power outage, I think. So in our big TEDx events, we've had power outages pretty much every single event. It's a bit of a Myanmar situation. Actually, Ponjo, your good friend, was one of our speakers, I think 3 years back, and he spoke about Trash Heroes. His initiative of awareness of trash and garbage and recycling. And I think his talk was fine, but a number of other talks in that particular event, I think we had 8 power outages throughout the day. So when you have people speaking on stage, that was a little bit unnerving. So bear with us if you're tuning in live, that we might have a few technical difficulties.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's
so
supposed to be a hurricane coming through as well. There's
that's
supposed to
all
be a
we need.
hurricane
Yeah,
coming through.
just add the hurricane in the mix of the Myanmar power
Certainties at
problem.
2020, 2020. What's going on?
That's right. Yeah, hurricane in Florida. Yeah, people had to come indoors, right?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. We're used to it.
So you talked about when we talked about your career, and we talked about your family. How does your family feel when you're in the cage? For to prepare for this conversation, I watched a few fights. I must admit I get squeamish. So I didn't previously, but and obviously I'm watching for you, and every time I get punched, and I'm like, oh. Sorry. Every time you get punched, I go, oh, get so worried and recoil. And I can
Yeah,
imagine that for your family, especially your wife, your mother, it must be quite difficult to see you in that cage.
yeah, for sure. Like my mom, I tell her never to watch my fights because it's violent. Like when I first started watching MMA, like I was like, man, this is violent. It looks very violent. It is violent. So like for my mom, I don't want her to watch that. For my wife, like she's used to it because she see me compete a lot, you know. But I wouldn't want my daughter to watch it. I wouldn't want my wife to watch it. You know, I wouldn't want my aunts to watch it, especially the ones that are a little squeamish. I wouldn't want them to watch it at all, you know, because the nature of the sport is violent. You know, it's kind of violent. So I say don't watch it. You know, just you can root for me, you can pray for me, but like just don't watch it. And then for my uncles and my for my brothers, they get it. You know, they get it. They like it, so it's okay. And also, for me, it's not the violence that made me love mixed martial art. It's an art form. The mastering of each technique. You know, that's what made me fall in love with mixed martial arts. There's a lot on the line, you know, when we fight. Um, so every second counts. You know, for us when we're in the cage, every second counts. And I don't want to have to think about my mom thinking if this is too violent or not. That's why I tell them never to watch it. You know.
Yeah, we have a few questions coming in now, so I'm going to weave it through our conversation, and we'll still have so much that I want to cover with you. And one, I think is relevant to what we've already talked about, so I'm going to ask that now, which is, it took 12 years, for you to get your win, actually longer, I think. What kept you going during this time? What
My
gave you the
passion
belief that you will get there?
my passion and the fact that I knew I was getting better, you know, progress. That's a big marker of success, you know. If this is success and this is where you are, as long as you're steadily climbing, as long as you're steadily going there in the right direction, that's what matters most, you know. And I felt like I was getting better, you know, even though there were fights when I lost. During training camp, I got better. After the fight, I got better. I was getting better. You know, if I felt like I was stagnant, if I felt like I was plateauing, and if I felt like I was hating it, I would have stopped. But for me, it was my passion and my belief, and then the fact that I was getting better. You know, I felt like I was getting better. My coaches tell me I was getting better. You know, that's the thing. Um, a lot of talented people, a lot of super talented people, a lot of people that are so good, they'll stop right before they hit their goal. You know, and I don't want people to do that. You know, if you look at my career, if you look at my life, like if I stopped on the 11th year, I wouldn't have become a champion, and my life wouldn't have changed dramatically. You know, so I wish like I hope my life inspires, or my fight career inspires people in a way to not give up because you don't know how close you are, you know. And that's the thing in life, you know. A lot of people give up way before they reach their goals.
I'm definitely inspired, and I think you are so right. It's just about keeping going, and what you said about as long as you're progressing and working on that progress, you know that you're going to get there one day. Another
So
question
let,
is,
let, let me tell you one more. Hold on. Let me tell you about the plateauing thing, right?
yeah,
Sometimes you plateauing because you're not making progress. Like sometimes if you're in it, like you go to the gym and you can't lift this certain weight, you know, but it takes time. It takes your body time to get used to that weight, you know. Just like when in training, in sparring, I don't feel like I'm going anywhere, but it's also because my training partners are getting better. You know, the people that I train with are also getting better. So even though you don't see it, even though it looks like you're swimming and you're treading water, you're not going anywhere. You are making progress. You know, sometimes people think that's when a lot of people break. Mentally, they break and they give up. You know, what I'm trying to tell you is like, don't break, don't give up. If you know you're working hard, you're passionate about it, and you have some right coaches and people above you to help you, you're in the right place. And I want to like push you guys to keep going, you know.
that's just excellent advice. I'm plateauing right now, but it's weight losing.
It will come, it will come. And when you feel like plateauing, you gotta push through, you know. For me, I cut up all my carbs at night. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot. You cut out all your carbs at night. for me, when I was trying to lose weight, right? Like I would diet and I would do everything good, and then at night I would cut out all the carbs. I won't eat no rice, and I'll just stick with like veggies and protein. Does it suck? Yes, it's not fun at all. But once your weight loses, then you can go back to having some carbs at night.
I will try that. Okay, there's another question from Zingwei Tun. Please tell us about the hardest times you've had in your life and how you got over it.
The hardest time I had in my life was probably when I was when my wife and I, we just got together, and we were living in in a small apartment, um, and she was just out of college, so she worked at a really small pool company, and she was making very little money. I was making very little money. We were like living below poverty line. We were so broke um, that we would have to go to my wife's mother's house, and we would have to go in her refrigerator and take frozen food from her house, so that we could feed ourselves. Uh, those are, of course, like the hardest times. We would have hard time paying rent. Our rent would always be late, and then we would just have to like raid my in-laws' refrigerators for food. Those were really hard times. Um, and then and then those times when I was able to fight, like I would make extra money, to pay rent and to buy more groceries. But when my wife and I got together, like, and living in an apartment in Maryland, those were our hardest time. Um, and and what kept us going was my belief and like my wife's belief in me that we can succeed. That I was gonna make it. That was our belief that we were gonna make it, and I was gonna be a champion one day was what kept us going.
Oh, that's great. I have a few questions coming in. That's actually a good segue to where I wanted to go, which is there's one from Kieran Rabbit saying, "What's the expected career for MMA fighters, and how will you manage the rest of your career and next?" Which was going to be my question as well. You mentioned age. There is a limit to a fighter's career. What are you thinking post one championship, post MMA? What are your plans?
So I think I have a good, about 2 years left in me. Uh, Maybe more depending, maybe less depending, on injuries and stuff. But right now, I still, like, I'm telling you, like, before coronavirus, when everything was locked down, and we were able to train outside, do exercise outside, and do small groups, I felt in shape, and I felt like my body felt better than ever. So I don't know. It really depends on it's God's plan. It's like um, it depends on how I feel. But in my heart and in my head, I think about 2 years. But that being said, what I'm gonna do after the 2 years is I'm gonna go back home. I'm gonna go back to Myanmar. I think that's what my calling is. My calling is to grow future, um, future champions in out of Myanmar, and also to start a gym so that, like I said, the young kids have an outlet besides school, that could interest them. And I feel like having martial arts in a kid's life is good for their focus. It's good for having confidence, and it will teach them about respect and treating other people better. So that's my plan.
You mentioned that when you were young, you had a karate teacher. He left. You didn't have a lot of opportunities to train. I think here now we have a few leeway schools, but really few and far between. If you look at the population of children here versus what's available. Do you want to start MMA schools here? I mean, that would be amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the plan, and it's in the works right now. I've teamed up with a few of a group of people, and we're going to be working on bringing in MMA gym in Yangon before the end of the year. So come check it out, please.
That's fantastic. You already let's switch a little bit on your philanthropy. You're actually doing quite a lot to promote MMA. You have Teal living with you, who is trying to train to be a champion as well. Tell us a little bit about Teal and your friendship and how what you are doing together.
Well, Teal contacted me in 2016. Um, before all my training partners are Americans, and Teal out of the blue, called me, contacted me, and sent me an email. And he was from New York, and I was like, if you're really interested, drive down and come check us out. We're only about 3 hours away. It's still a long ways, but from New York, he drove down to Maryland, and he trained with me for a week, and then he went home. And I was like, this guy's not serious. He's not really gonna do it. But he actually moved down to Maryland, to be with me and to train with us at the gym at that moment, at that time. And he was there helping, helping me in teaching classes as well as training with me. So Q has been with me since 2016, and now that I moved down to Florida with a bigger team, with a more suitable team for me, he came down as well. He came down and he's staying with us for months in a year. So that he can get better
Yeah,
training as well. Yeah, he has
and
his
you
family is
support.
in New York. New York, yeah.
And where's Teal originally from?
He's from Hakka, Chin.
Chin State, right? Okay.
Yeah. Chin State. Yep.
Yeah, and I think there was this egg throwing video on your Facebook recently. That's him, right?
Yep, that's him. Yeah, he's so fun to be around. He has a lot of energy, and he's a great person. So I'm excited. He's not like me, but he has his own character. He's the more funnier, more lighthearted guy. So
Fantastic. And you're also supporting a few children in Mandalay to train. Tell us more about that as well.
so I have a friend in Mandalay Lewy Club MLC 2D, and I've managed to send a few kids to him. Leadweight, the fundamentals of leadweight. Um, I sponsor the kids so that they can go to school and train as well. And those kids will have a future in mixed martial arts as well. Um, I think that's the kind of avenue that I want to go into. I want to help young I want to help young kids who are interested in mixed martial arts, because that's my field, and I can kind of help them and guide them through my experience and through my knowledge. And so, like, I know a lot of kids in Myanmar want to do this as well. So I want to eventually, have more kids um, in my program, where I sponsor them to train, get an education, and have, a brighter future.
That's great. We have actually a question from Auntie Thu asking if you have plans or do you want to promote Myanmar traditional martial art Lewe in other countries?
For sure, I want to promote Myanmar Lewe in any way I can. Um, but the first way that I want to promote Myanmar Lewe is uh, to have people train and compete in Lewe. Um, like personally, I can't compete in Lewe right now because I'm contracted for with one championship. Um, maybe when I retire, you don't know, you never know. Maybe when I retire from mixed martial arts. Um, but as far as the Lewy goes, I want Lewy to be very big because Muay Thai, the Thai form of combat sport, is very popular in the United States as well. Um, but Lewy is not, which makes no sense because Lewy is the same thing as is very similar to Muay Thai. It has very similar techniques, but it's more interesting because you can headbutt. You can do. Um, you don't wear gloves. It's more interesting. It's more like fascinating. And so there's no reason why Lewy shouldn't be as popular as other forms of martial arts like Muay Thai or even boxing. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So
help.
you
I'm
meant
gonna help promote. when I'm done competing MMA.
That's fantastic. You mentioned that you're contracted with one championship, and there's a question here as well on how did you start your career in the one championship? How do you approach one championship? You know, what made you choose the one championship over, say, UFC?
Well, one championship contacted me in the end of 2014. No, sorry, 2013. At the end of 2013, um, and at the moment, they contacted me and they said they were going to do a show in Myanmar. And me, wanting to go back home, that was the reason why I chose to work with one championship. And then and then when I fought my first fight in 2014. I was like, I was blown away, and I was like in love with the company and the Asian fans. Asian fans are very very different from American fans, or like the Western fans. It's like they're so polite, they're so cordial, and they're so respectful, and that's what I liked a lot about the Asian fans.
Okay, I'm trying to find actually, you know what I need? Glasses, sorry. It's another effect of age. Um, do you have a plan to drop down to a welterweight division, it says?
Well, I don't because for me, middleweight is the best. For me, middleweight is the best. I walk around what middleweights walk around. For me to compete at welterweight, I feel like I'm gonna take away. I'm gonna deplete myself with the strength and the energy that I have at middleweight. So for me, it doesn't make sense. Uh, if anything, I probably just stay at middleweight.
Right. And this is more from me, just super curious. Picking up on what we said before about your stardom here, and what does it make you feel like? You say you're a very down to earth guy. At home, you try to keep things balanced, but how does it feel to be so well known in especially in Myanmar?
Definitely weird. It's definitely different. But I just take it as it's part of my career. Um, I'm not different from anybody else, and I'll treat you the same as I'll treat anybody else in the whole wide world. Just because you are something, I'm not going to treat you better, and just because you're somebody, I'm not going to treat you any worse. I'm just going to treat everybody like with respect and with a lot of like with love. That's how I go about. Um, and as far as like the stardom, like it doesn't. It's weird, but I don't see myself as a big celebrity or anything like that. For sure. No.
One thing that celebrity has helped is for you to use that voice to promote causes. And very recently, you did a video with the European Union where you talked about gender-based violence. Tell us about that. Why did you agree to do it? Because I know that you don't agree to lend your name to everything. It's something that you believe in.
Yeah, gender-based violence is what pulls family apart. Gender-based violence is what is the reason why there's a lot of single parents. Gender-based violence is a root of a lot of negativity in society, and I really feel like in order for a society to operate, we have to have like functional family. It's true. All families gonna have disagreement. All families gonna have um, arguments and stuff. But there's no reason to use violence. So that's one thing that I really am passionate about. I love my sisters, and I love my aunts, and I would never want to see them be hurt. So that's one of the reasons why I chose that. That to work with EU on such a big like such a fundamentally very very important topic.
Hey, we're back. I set the power
Welcome
mic
back.
out, it went out. So we are now a
You,
proper TEDx
you
Yangon event.
spoke it. You spoke it into
I,
existence.
I think I did. Yeah, I don't know. Is it a
It's it.
jing?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be a little bit delayed because I'm actually using my internet from my phone to tether to the computer's Wi-Fi. So if I'm a little bit delayed and the audio is not so good, bear with me.
Okay, all good.
Okay, great. Sorry, what were we talking about? We were talking about gender-based violence. And the fact that for it's one issue is also awareness, right? Because sometimes families just turn a blind eye or don't want to acknowledge it. Neighbors don't want to interfere,
Yeah.
and especially it affects women disproportionately, and women are sort of told to just bear it because that's what happens in families. So fantastic that you shining a light on that issue and using your stardom really to promote that.
If I can affect, a few families, I think that's enough, because it's not only going to affect, that one family, but also, the kids and the family later on in life. So it's exponentially like important. So
Speaking of causes, you mentioned that you started MMA during your university career, and I understand that at university you actually studied agriculture. Is that right?
yeah, so my first love is farming, agriculture. Um, and I thought I go to America, I'm gonna learn, agriculture, and I'm gonna come back and use that knowledge in Myanmar because Myanmar is like an agriculture country. Um, but then unfortunately, I fell in love with mixed martial arts, and my path was changed. Maybe when I'm done fighting, maybe I can go back to that. So you never know. You never know what life, where life leads us, and where our heart leads us sometimes.
Yeah. Say a little bit more about agriculture and the land, and also your beekeeping. You studied agriculture because Myanmar being an agricultural country, I would imagine that leads to crops and such. What got you into bees?
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, my uncle, my uncle on my father's side had a farm, and they had farms, and I loved the farm life. So when I applied for college, I went to a school that had, agriculture, and the school that had agriculture, they had a big dairy farm as well. I did dairy farming for 4 years, and I loved it. I loved it, um, but during that time, I also started doing mixed martial arts, my other passion. And when I graduated from college, I got a job offer to work as a beekeeper, and that's something new. That's something new, and that excited me. I was going to be able to travel, to different states. I was going to be able to travel to Florida, Michigan, Wisconsin, and California for almonds, and see all of the United States. So that excited me too. That's something that a young guy would love to do. Um, but during that time, I had so much fun. I had so much fun being a beekeeper, working with the bees. It was very very satisfying. But my hunger for mixed martial arts, my hunger to compete, was the reason why I stopped. I stopped being a beekeeper because being a beekeeper, you don't have a stable life. You're going around the country, doing work for in different states. You're pollinating different crops. You're getting honey from different places. You're in Florida for oranges. You're in California for almonds. So you didn't have that stability that you need for mixed martial arts.
So you like the land. Just going back to sort of your love for farming, you also like to hunt. Tell us about
Yeah.
your hunting.
So lately, we've been my friends and I we've been doing the hunting. Um, the thing I love about the hunting is not the killing part. It's more about the processing part. We would go out and we would hunt. Wild boars. We would hunt. Deer, and then we would get them, and we would. We don't hunt to kill. We hunt to harvest the end product. A lot of times in America, people go to a grocery store and they buy a piece of meat and they make steak, right? But they don't know where that steak came from. The steak came from a cow that's farmed, a cow that's, industrial farming. Industrial farming is so bad for the environment. Uh, the end product is the steak, but the process that went through it is so much work. There's like there's like the farmer has to raise his little animal, and then it has to be fed, it has to be taken care of. Um, but the thing is, the end product is a steak, but we don't know the process it took to get to the end product, and that's what fascinated me about the hunting part. I get to hunt an animal, and I get to you know clean it out, and I get to process it, and then I get the end product. And that's what I feel like our society needs. To know. They have to know, they have to be able to see a product and understand what it takes to get to that product. A lot of the kids see a piece of steak, and they love steak, but they don't know where it came from. And that's the thing that is missing in that society sometimes. You see the product, but you don't understand the process of it, the process of getting to that product. That's the same thing about this championship belt. This championship belt behind me, they see the product, but they don't understand the process it took to get to the final product.
Yeah, and so many people, especially in the West, are so squeamish about even fish. I don't want to see the head of the fish or the tail of the fish. And for me, it's so I can understand certain parts of the animal you might not want to see, but we have in our society just lost touch, as you say, about the process and where things come from, and therefore there's no appreciation and almost gratitude, right, to the animal that
Sure.
you're eating.
The animal, the farmers that work so hard for it. The the drivers that transport the goods. Like it's there's a big gap. There's a big gap sometimes between the finished product and the process it took to get there. People want success, but they don't understand the hard work that goes into success as well.
No, exactly. And people want to eat, but don't want to acknowledge the fact that there has been killing
Yes,
done, and as you say about industrial farming, what kind of conditions those animals are raised in.
yes,
I'm not a vegetarian myself. I do eat everything, and I have to remind myself as well that
yeah.
this
And even
this
even
comes
even
with something.
vegetarian. Yeah, even vegetarian. It's fine to be vegetarian. It's great to be vegetarian. But you also have to understand, like what goes into all the food that you eat, or what goes into all the vegetarian products that is made. It's really processed vegetarian products. There's a lot of like veggie meat and a lot of like the veggie canned goods, which are not really good for you. You gotta understand what they come from. The end product comes from what kind of process.
Yeah, it's really about being aware and being aware as a consumer, right? On what sometimes you think you're helping the environment, or you're being ethical by doing one thing, but you don't understand the consequences of the products that you're buying on the environment, or on other people, or on less fortunate economies in the world.
Yeah, for sure. And being a more conscious consumer makes us a better human being, I believe.
Yeah. I'm just going to look through a few more questions. I think we will take the session just a little bit further, given all the power and other technical problems that we've been having. We have a question, actually, a few questions on whether you would actually support your children training to become fighters one day.
If they're as passionate as I am, yes, for sure, 100%, I will support them. Um, but again, like I'm not gonna force somebody to get out of bed to go training. Um, if their heart's not into it, this is such a hard sport. I wouldn't encourage them. But one thing for sure, I will teach them martial arts. I will have them train and I'll have them learn. My little girl San Sang is going to learn how to do jujitsu. She'll learn how to box. She'll learn how to do leg weight. She'll learn how to wrestle. All the good stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned that every kid should learn some sort of self-defense. Tell
Yeah, for
tell
sure.
uh, tell us a little bit about that. I'm a mother of three children as well, and I want them to learn. I must admit, all my sons are the 10-month-old looks a little strong, but the other two, the 7-year-old and the
Yeah,
10-year-old, look a little wimpy. So maybe I send all of them to your MMA training.
for sure. Send them to learn some sort of martial arts. Um, yeah, like I do believe that kids need one, they need exercise. You know, a lot of times in Yangon, the kids, they just study, they just read, they just do little things, but they don't really get to work out and exercise. Um, Martial arts gets you in shape. It teaches you, it makes you sweat. It's a lot of fun as well. But the other things that it teaches you is it teaches you to respect other people, and that's very important. It teaches you respect. It teaches you to work hard. It teaches you to have some sort of goal. That's why in martial arts schools they have those belt rankings, so that you have some sort of goal to go after. And in life, that's very important. Having some sort of goal in life is important, so that you know which way your life goes to, or else your life will just go wherever. Um, and being self-disciplined, those are the important things that martial arts teaches. And I want to be able to, like my son needs to learn that. My daughter needs to learn that. Um, and I think it will make for better kids, and it will prevent kids from getting bullied as well.
Right. I'm looking at a few other questions. There's some nice kind of almost concluding questions. One is, what do you wish for your children to do when they grow up? But maybe we can expand that to say, what do you hope for your children and other children?
Well, most important thing is I want my children to respect everybody around them, regardless of where they're from, regardless of who they are, regardless of what social status they're from. It doesn't matter. Respect, everybody around you, um, and stay humble and work hard. Work hard for you for what you're passionate. Work and just be a good human being. The most important thing is being a good human being. Um, that that um, and if they are a good human being, I'm gonna be a happy parent for sure.
That's very heartwarming, I must admit. And as a parent, that's also something that I would aspire to, which is my children to become a good human being. So thank you so much for articulating that. Another question that we have is maybe something related, but what is your advice for young people in Myanmar?
Young people in Myanmar, like, just remember, you can do whatever anybody else in the world can do. Just if you work hard, if you put your heart into it, there's nothing you cannot do. You know, you can go for anything that you want if you truly believe in yourself, and just like if you just work hard. All the young people in Myanmar, sometimes they look at themselves and they're like kind of like sad, but just understand this. If you believe in yourself and you work hard, anything is possible. If you truly believe, if you believe and you work hard, anything is possible.
That is an amazing takeaway, and I have enjoyed talking to you so much. And I think this is a really nice note to end. So I think, given the time and all the ground that we've covered, I think we'll end here. Allah, it's been so fantastic. Just getting to spend time with you before this conversation, getting to know you. For me, I love the fact, of course, you're this big champion, and I completely respect all the effort and years of a grit that you've put into the win, and so proud of you as a Myanmar citizen that we have you as our champion out there. You're an incredible ambassador for all of us. But most of all, I love that you're a great human being, and I love that we have you're soulful, you're deep, and your life philosophies are so grounded. And it really gives me goosebumps. And I very much hope that when your MMA career ends, and I hope it ends in higher and higher notes. When that we so happy to hear that you have plans to come home to Myanmar, and I know that you'll do amazing things here. So all the best, and please maybe say something to all the people listening, a few concluding remarks, and anything else that you might want to add.
Ma, thank you so much. That was very kind of you to say. I appreciate all the love and all the support, and I'm gonna continue to do good work, and to all my fans and all my all the support that I've been given from Myanmar. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here without you guys. You know, it's been an amazing ride, but this is just the beginning. I truly believe that my work is in Myanmar, and to produce bigger and better things, more champions and better things in Myanmar. So I look forward to seeing you all very soon.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you again to Anla for spending this time. Thank you again to Oba and Daiichi for lending footage. And thank you especially to the Salween team, in particular, Frank and Gloria, for spending another weekend volunteering with us, and all the technical support, and really everything else that you do for us. Salween also manages our Facebook page for pro bono, and every other marketing material that we have. So this was our conversations for August. We do one every first Sunday of the month. That's the aim. But what we also try to do is, if we find individuals that we want to speak to, and based on their schedule and our schedule, we will try to do more, especially if our tech team who volunteers is able to do that. So we are hoping that sometime this month we will do a mid-month special with Alison Langdon. Alison is a very well-known reporter in Australia. She's had an incredible career with first as a reporter for 60 Minutes, which is an investigative journalist feature, and now she is a host of one of the big morning shows. And with her, we actually will be talking about media, something quite a interesting topic, going back to what's going on in the world today, the last 20 years, the morphing of media and how it's being used by different people, and the rise of social media and how that's impacted traditional media. So stay tuned. We will make an announcement very soon on our special feature with Alison Langdon. And September, for our usual time, which is first Sunday of September, we are going to be featuring Dr. Stephen Gilmore, who is a flight surgeon for NASA. And flight surgeons are doctors who look after astronauts when they are in space, and also train them for before they get into space. So we will be learning about the International Space Station, the various missions that have gone there, the plans that NASA has, but in particular, just being very curious about what happens to a human body when they're in space and when human beings spend so much time in orbit. So stay tuned for that as well. So 2 very exciting conversations coming up. Thank you again for spending your Saturday evening or Sunday morning with us, depending on where you're tuning in from. And we hope to see you again soon here at Conversations with TEDxYangon. Thank you.